Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more relationship stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. Let's crack on with today's first story, which comes from a deleted user and says, am I the a-hole for suing my ex and her boyfriend? My ex and I divorced 3 years ago. She was cheating, but at this point I don't care about the relationship anymore. The pending lawsuit has nothing to do with her or him, but rather their actions. My ex and I have a son, 13 male, that we split time with 50-50. He's a great kid that interests have changed a lot, to be honest, as I imagine more kids/teenagers tend to do through the years. One thing my son was heavily into at some point was Legos. He used to play with them all the time, and personally I think they are a great toy for different reasons. I used to love playing them with him, and to this day I still collect boxes that I leave unopened as a collection. Well, my ex and I divorced. She got with someone who loved Legos more, I guess. From what I know, he loves making creations and building the sets in. I don't care, seems cool. He does one thing I think is very, very weird. He uses crazy glue so the sets can't break or pieces can't be lost. It seems so weird to me. It's the Craggle! The issue is, I was out of town for all 3 days last week for medical reasons, and my son wanted to get his PS4 so he could play it at his mum's. This isn't out of the ordinary at all, and he has a key. So he let me know he would be stopping over for it. I told him to have fun when I saw him on the entry camera. My wife's husband was with him, which was a no-no. I told him via speaker to not go in and to wait on the porch. He flinched but walked in anyway. I sent my ex a text telling her to call him and tell him he's 1 minute away from a cop call. He left my home with a bag in hand, which I don't think much of because my son had his games too. Well, my son texted me later that evening and said he didn't know it at the time, but he's pretty sure SD took some of my sets. These are all old sets and 2 are worth big money. When I got home, I confirmed the missing sets and called my ex. She had no idea, but he admitted he took them, but it was so son could have the sets to complete his collection. My son doesn't even like Legos anymore and told his mum he wouldn't steal from me. My wife asked how much it would cost to replace them, and unfortunately it's more than their savings. Actually, it would take their house down payment plus more. I told him if they didn't pay in 2 weeks I was suing and pressing charges. The price in the sets makes it a felony. My ex and her husband are saving up for a house which would give my son more space when he's there. But those sets were going to help pay for his education someday, or a home of his own. I filed a police report and have talked to a lawyer, and we're moving forward with the suit. Everyone is calling me a joke because they are just toys, but I don't get it. They're worth real money. I'm not rich, guys. I need those to help with my son's future. But again, taking this money does deny my son things at his mum's house. Am I the a-hole here? And we do have some edits and updates to this post as well. I hate it when people with expensive items just call them toys. Like that's an excuse. I can steal this item from your house because it's just toys. Let's change the Lego set with something else. A ring, for example, and then everyone's up in arms like, oh my god, this person stole your jewelry, how dare they? I remember hearing a story about someone that collected old Star Wars figures and had like one of these like vintage 1979, I want to say, Boba Fett's or something like that, and it was worth a lot of money. I can't remember the exact amount, and that was stole from them. It was opened out the packet because their child wanted to play with it, and it just completely wiped so much money off the value. And this particular person wanted to sue just for the lost value, just for that amount, because they didn't want to get further involved and damage their family, etc., etc. And I think they eventually did get that money back, but I was just blown away by the entitlement of some people. This person coming into your house, taking your items. Hell no, not the a-hole. But Punabia says, wait, so someone who you didn't want in your house entered your house and then took something from you. How are you anything but not the a-hole? Slightly twisted game says not the a-hole. Your property was stolen. Your ex's SO broke the law. Toys, especially older toys, are incredibly valuable. There are individual magic cards worth over $3,000. There are vintage dolls worth over $1,000. It really doesn't matter whether your stolen property was Legos, jewelry, or cash. The law is that one person doesn't get to take the property from another person. Nova Lurker says, not the a-hole. He walked into your house after you told him to wait outside and stole your property. Property that was an investment for your son's future. The only person to blame here is the ex's boyfriend. Here's a question though. Why can't they just bring them back? Did they do something to ruin the sets? Opie responded saying they opened them. Takes away most of the value. Let's have one more comment from Enough With Names who says not the a-hole. That's easy to say when I'm not the one being sued and I don't know the people personally. I think it's a good idea to sue not just because of the money but because it sets a very clear boundary and sometimes what people like this need. And they're going to be in your life forever. I don't care that it's just toys and neither will a judge. Oh, and they are both definitely a-holes for going into your house when you set a boundary and then stealing from you. What the hell? Then Opie edits the post and says, edit, I've been asked to add these facts. The sets have been opened, which was more than half their worth, and one was glued together. The damage was done already. The stolen items are King Castle Milk Truck, Legoland Train Carousel, and the glued one was a Star Wars Snowspeeder. Oh no, some of these are one piece of a larger set, so if you lose one of 5, you lose the value of one produce plus the value of the set as a whole. Second edit, ex-wife and boyfriend are the same as ex-boyfriend. I'm just a bad writer. Third and final edit for the post. I know I haven't been on here much, but I have read many of your comments and taken them to heart. I know my spelling is poor, guys, and I apologize for the format. Calling me names in my private message was not called for, and I'm not a scalper. I enjoy buying sets and do not intend to sell all of them. But I want my son to go to college and not worry about debt, so I want to sell the ones that I can to help. I never had the smarts for higher education, but my son is not me, and I love him and want him to do better. Around 4 PM I called the local state police and met at their facility. I gave them all I had and gave my statement. My son is with me starting tonight, so when I pick him up, I sent him into GameStop and called his mum. I told her I'd filed charges and I asked the cop to call me when everything was done so I could give him the opportunity to turn himself in. I wanted to be better than he treated me. I'll save a reaction for a real update, by the way. Can someone please tell me how to update because I don't really understand the steps in the main notes. I told my son when we got home what I did and why. My son said that I did the right thing because he didn't want his stepdad to think it was okay to do it again. And if he didn't go to jail, he'd rather be here or away from him so it isn't weird. So then Opie came back in to update the post, which says, I apologize. I'm not the best at Reddit and I guess the moderators at Am I the A-hole deleted my update. If you have any follow-up questions, I'll try my best to answer you, though it could take some time. I've received a few requests regarding posting an update and I did promise to update the situation once it was resolved. And as far as I have any say, the headache is over for the most part. I can't say that I feel whole, but I'm not angry about it as I think the consequences are something to respect. I read through most of the comments and really appreciate the time most of you took out of your day to offer advice and well wishes. I know I didn't respond to all of them, but your time and care were noticed. I accept all your judgments, but I must say your kindness blew me away, while some took the time out of their day just to be mean, which is on you, I guess. I understand Legos are toys, but I enjoy the hunt and it's worth it to me. As I said, I decided to go to the police with a video, my statement, text from my ex and emails. I told the police I wanted this pursued as he had entered my house after being told no and stole valuables. They took everything I had to offer and as of yesterday, my ex's boyfriend was arrested for a few different violations/laws. He was charged with grand larceny and breaking and entering among a few other charges. My ex is really upset at me and him, however she bailed him out so I'm guessing she isn't too upset with him. Ex's boyfriend has called a few times and showed up once. He left the used sets on my porch and I'm not sure what he thinks that does at this stage. They aren't worthless, but their value is less than half. I told my lawyer he did this and she was blown away. I sent an email to my ex telling her and him to stay away from me and my home. And I only wanted to hear from her if it was concerning our child. This was his first offense to my knowledge, so I don't expect him to do jail time. However, my lawyer said it was possible due to the amount of crimes and when/how they took place. Apparently doing that during the day is worse and he did it in front of my child, which doesn't help him. I spoke to the lawyer on Tuesday this week regarding the loss, and unfortunately, I'm looking at a tough road ahead of me. The pieces stolen are valued at what they sell at auction, which the local DA will decide which auctions are reputable. So that could go different ways. Moreover, the fact the boyfriend broke up my sets were irrelevant. The lawyer said it would be like stealing one baseball card out of an entire set and burning it. You are only owed the value of that one card even if you can't get that one card again. The fact he returned them is an admission of guilt, she said, and that we could definitely reclaim the amount of money and an open set for each would be worth. But it doesn't make the matter better in my opinion. I know a lot of you thought 10 to 20k wasn't nearly enough for a house down payment, but in my neck of the woods it's plenty. And my lawyer recommended we go forward with a civil suit, and I agreed. With that and the legal charges, I feel that is well enough. I will have enough in my savings and Lego stock, lol, to fund his 4 years at a good state school. I wish I could do more, but you can't win them all. My son has been staying with me full time, as he feels it's awkward at his mum's, and he's pretty upset at his mum about the whole thing. But I'm trying to smooth that over as best as I can, considering the circumstances. He's asked to stay here full time, which I support, and told his mum as much. I told her we could go through the court or keep it simple. I think she wants to keep it simple. I haven't thought much about child support, but I don't think asking for a small amount would be bad. I don't want to break my ex, but our kid should come first. Thank you to everyone for their well wishes and thoughts. Best of luck to everyone out there. Again, if you have any questions, I'll try my best to answer them. It just left me wondering, going back to the initial post, this boyfriend walking into the house after being told no. I was just like, what do you expect to happen? You're going into someone's house, stealing their items, and you're just expecting to get away with it? I just think of the entitlement in my head and trying to think what they might be going. Do they even think? I really don't know. It's so bizarre. Hit my fingers on the side there. Now, what do you guys make of this situation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. But let's move on to another story. Our next story comes from TA Heartbroken 638 from the True Off My Chest subreddit and says, I forced my wife to go to a party and now my marriage is ruined. Me and my wife Cara have been married for 4 years now. We had an arranged marriage, but so far we have had a good marriage and a strong bond. I love her and would do anything for her in the blink of an eye. Before we got married, we decided that we will have our own individual space and we didn't have to tell each other everything unless we feel the other person should definitely know. The arrangement went well for years. I didn't have much to hide or tell, but she did. When I met Cara for the first time, she was a very conservative person, a bit too devoted to religion. She told me that she wasn't a good person in the past, but since then, she has tried to be a good person living a moral life. She told me some details about her past and how she was a wild girl in college and had several relationships and partners. Even after we got married, she would tell me some details about her past, but I never pressed to get details. She always refers to her college self in the third person. Whenever she talks about her past, she always says that her college self is a horrible person. Since then, she has been more devoted to religion and is quite different from her previous self. I've seen some pictures and videos and Cara is nothing like that person today. Cara doesn't have a lot of friends and mostly spends her time praying or with other religious stuff. I'm the only person she shares her thoughts with. A few months ago, out of the blue, she got a call from her best friend from college, Renee, I think it is. I saw Cara light up after talking to Renee. Cara felt so happy after reconnecting with Renee and Renee invited her to a party at her place. Renee also called up their other friends from college. Cara was conflicted about going to the party. I convinced her to go, saying the worst that could happen is that she has a boring night. Cara asked me to come along with her. Even during the drive, I was thinking about getting some embarrassing and funny stories about my wife from her friends. When we reached Renee's place, I realized why Cara was conflicted. Cara was dressed very conservatively, light makeup and very little jewelry. Her friends from college were the exact opposite. They were dressed like tweens going out to party all night. The night started normally about the girls sharing funny tales, but the stories quickly became raunchy and then horrifying. I found out Cara and Renee were the leaders of the group of mean girls. They slept around, abused alcohol and drugs, and on occasions ruined people's lives. Cara stepped away to go to the bathroom when the group turned to me and told me stories about my wife. Renee talked about Cara sleeping with most of the professors at their college, which I did know about but wasn't aware the number was that high. Renee purposely told me about how Cara and Renee systematically gaslit a woman into believing that she is a lesbian and ruined her marriage because her husband had rejected Cara's advances. And all the girls found this incident to be funny. I wanted to leave, but I couldn't find Cara. I went to the bathroom to look for her and found her curled up in the corner crying. I picked her up and left immediately. The entire drive back, Cara was sobbing and kept repeating, "I am sorry." She was inconsolable for days, and then she threw herself into religion hard. She started praying for 6 to 8 hours a day. Her daily prayers and rituals usually took 2 hours. I thought that giving her space would help her heal, and she would talk to me whenever she is ready. We haven't talked much since then. She still cuddles up in bed but doesn't say anything. Last week she told me that she has decided to be celibate for the rest of her life, to repent for her former sins. She asked for my support and apologized for springing it on me. She has told me to leave her if I can't live a celibate life with her. I've tried talking to her about trying therapy, but she is adamant on her plan. I ruined my near-perfect life by forcing her to go to that party. And we're going to start in the comments with Apple Pug, who says, sounds like she might be having a nervous breakdown and using her religion to cope. Does your congregation, assuming she attends church, temple, religious meeting, have a trusted figure she could talk to? Maybe one who has a similar background, partied hard but turned away from that life. If Kay still won't talk to you, it may be worth seeing if she'll attend a meeting with them. I wish you both the best. Opie responds and says, I'm trying to get the help, but it's not easy without telling them about my wife's past. I didn't want to tell them as I don't know how they will respond knowing about it. I feel they might not help at all and might even leave Kay more isolated than she is right now. Typical Agency says, I don't think you ruined anything. She may have changed, but she still needs to deal with her actions. Unfortunately, she may run into her old friends or her victims later in life. She needs therapy and to learn how to cope. Maybe one day, when she's at peace with herself, she can become some sort of mentor. She can give testimony and teach people from her mistakes. Opie responds and saying she's already doing a lot to repent. She is an active member of groups which educate kids about the harm of drugs. Therapy seems to be a non-starter unless I physically force her to be in a room with a therapist. Clover Cadet says she definitely needs to talk to someone about this, especially with her going super opposite with her lifestyle in a way that seems she's trying to atone for her sins. But the college friends sound like they are toxic and not aware. That's the worst kind of person. Always remind your wife how proud you are of her for being able to realize that she didn't want to continue to be like that. When some things don't go right, I say to my husband we just needed to remind ourselves why we don't do it. Samantha's grandma says she has escaped her past by adopting a new life of religious devotion, but she hasn't made spiritual peace with her past, which means that her devotion is not true atonement. She's trying to move from one behavior to another that she feels will be beneficial, without dealing with her self-hatred. Unfortunately, that the girls at the party had not outgrown the laughter about doing horrid things tells me that she's alone in wanting to change, and that's terrifying. She needs therapy. Diving into 12 hours of prayer won't heal without introspection that can be guided in a healthy way. And most of all, she is asking God to forgive her when she can't forgive herself. This just never ends well. She needs to make peace with who she was. Opie then responds to the comments and updates the post, which says, last night when we got into bed, I told her I love you and I will wait for you to be ready for me. At the time, I wasn't even sure what I meant. I just had to talk to her. Her eyes welled up with tears. I can tell she wanted to wail and scream but was holding back. She grabbed me and didn't want to let go. She whispered, I love you. We held each other for the rest of the night. In the morning, I asked if she would just talk to a therapist. I assured her I would try to support her decisions either way. She agreed and kissed me. We hadn't kissed in almost 2 months. I thought my wife was back, but a few minutes later she texted me from the kitchen. My celibacy doesn't have to mean yours. You are free to leave me. If you want to stay, I will not interfere with your physical needs. It killed me reading the text. We haven't said a word to each other since then. Second update. Cara started therapy thanks to the efforts of some members of a religious group. She will need a lot of time, and I don't know if I will ever get my wife back. Everyone keeps telling me that she will get better soon, but I'm not sure if she would still be my wife when she does. Even if she does come back, I've heard things about her past that make it very hard for us to just continue our relationship. Some details make me feel that Cara doesn't deserve happiness. For now, I will support her to help with her recovery, but I'm not sure what happens after. And now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. As always, I would love to hear them if you have a moment of your time. Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next one. Take care and much love.